unmanned aerial vehicle that's been owned by Bases Texas Productions, which produces this show you're watching right here. You don't know. You don't know, huh? So don't act like you do. You don't know. You don't know, huh? So don't act like you do. You don't know. 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 So don't act like you do. So don't act like you do. Because then something bad, like the cruelest woman in the world, might happen to you. Oh, you can't handle it, huh? You know, you can't handle the truth. How do I know that? Because I can't handle the truth. You damn sure can't handle it. The cruelest woman in the world. And don't even think about trying to handle the most beautiful woman in the world, because lips are taut and sturdy, boots and boots are curvy long, lashes getting dirty, one to crush you. I sell pop and sturdy, you looking kind of pretty, touch this dress and my bums will rush you. I hotty toddy, you are naughty naughty, lose those clothes, I'm getting ready to catch you. Taxi in the knees, I throw it tonight. On to take you higher than 1,000 copies could fly. Are you wasted? All start getting the keys, so come and arrive. Oh, you loser, James on the end of the ball to the ground tonight. Are you wasted? Are you wasted? Are you wasted? You wasted. You wasted. Wasted, wasted. Wasted, wasted. Wait.
Well, it's been a minute since we've spoken.
Yeah, quite a while. I thought I'd do a quick catch up with you. I've heard some news about Casbolt from John Irwin.
I can't wait to hear it.
Yeah, well, it's a bit sad, really, for people that like to hear from him. Basically, he's banned for the rest of his life from actually going online, so he can't even log in and look at what people have been posting, etc. And he's also banned from contacting anyone connected with Basis. So even though, I'm not, for instance, because I don't speak to Mars anymore, or I don't really sort of get involved with anything to do with them, despite people posting that I do. I absolutely don't. Haven't spoke to him for over about a year and a half, and that's that. But people that I think were connected with Bases in any way. By that I mean, ever spoke to Miles, or know Miles. So yeah, it's really quite odd, isn't it? So John basically said, think of him as dead, because he'll never resurface on the net ever again.
Wow. Do you think that John was being truthful with you? In other words, is there a possibility that Casbolt is dead or something like that, or back in prison or something?
No, he's definitely out of prison. Me being a private investigator, I could check that. So I've checked that with people in the prison system. He's definitely out of Earlstoke, and definitely out of the prison system. So, he is out, but it's under these conditions of no internet. He did have a phone call with John. I suppose John is not, oh God, maybe I shouldn't have said that, but John's not connected with Basis at all, and...
Yeah, I'm aware of that.
Yeah.
And, it's interesting that John, when speaking about Casbolt, was saying that he was deluded, and that none of this, what he was saying, was true or real, but yet at the same time, John has stepped forward to, quote unquote, help Casbolt. So I think that's rather odd.
Well, we were having a private conversation, John and I. We talk maybe once a week
Uh-huh.
about events, in the UK and stuff. So he basically said that in conversation to me. So he didn't come out and say it publicly. I'm just telling you because I think, it might be a good idea to put it out there and tell people. I don't do any stuff about Casbolt just because, you end up getting criticised. You get criticised by the people that like him, or you've said something off about him, or you get criticised by, the people that don't want his name ever mentioned again. And so,
Right. Well, and you know that
but
I don't
yeah,
give a damn about criticism, so yeah, no, I'm a perfect person to put that information out there. And I'm
yeah,
just going to be honest with you. Anytime I do something on Casbolt and or his name's on the title or something like that, my ratings go through the roof. So yeah, I'll definitely talk as much about him as you want to, and also, in John Irwin, he is such an enigmatic guy. I read his book. I've got his book. I believe, I believe everything he's saying. I mean, it
mm,
sounds legit to me, but it's
mm.
so
Oh yeah,
bizarre.
he's honest. Yeah, he's honest. I find him honest. You know.
Yeah, it's so bizarre about this fighting system that they were indoctrinated into that he calls the machine.
Right, right.
I mean, it's just bizarre. I mean, like how one man can like defeat like every time, like defeat four or five adversaries even without a gun. And
Yeah. Well, I found somebody. I did a couple of podcasts recently, and I located a man that had been doing podcasts over in this country. He was a Liverpool gangster called Darren. Sorry, I can't say the word. Darren G. And I heard him speaking, and he seems like charismatic, whatever. Had a lot of people listening to whenever he speaks. He seems to get really high ratings, and there was something about him was jarring me mentally, and I thought it's like I need to check this person out. So I had him on the show and didn't really pick up anything off him, off his energy. And so I decided to look at his picture, and I sensed some kind of cyborg kind of mechanism with him. And I thought, well, that's really odd because I don't believe in that kind of thing. So I went and checked him out astrally, and while I was with him astrally, I kind of got an intuition about what happened to him, and it was being in the prison system for so long, and that he'd been experimented on. So I began to check his chakras, and then when I got to the throat chakra, I could see that he had these implants, these implants that enhance, and his one was around the third eye and the pineal gland, either around it or into it, I don't know, but that is what had been done to him in the prison system. He'd also been in the care system. So there is someone else like Casbolt. I mean, Casbolt spoke a lot about having these implants himself. I mean, when I was listening at the time, I didn't believe him, but to come across someone else that has had the same and doesn't actually know about it. I mean, I did try and wake him up by sending him some stuff that Casbolt had done, and he said, "Oh, this sounds mad." But you kind of feel like, I never like waking people up because they're never receptive to it. And,
okay,
you know, pardon?
okay. Now I've got a
Yeah.
quick question, Christine, because I'm not that familiar with the astral. But in other words, you were kind of speaking to him in the astral, but he was kind of like in a hypnotic state, or he was kind of asleep. In other words, he was not really fully in other words, when you go into the astral, you're like fully cognizant of it, but like at that time he was maybe asleep. Or please explain that.
Well, at that time, he was actually awake, and he kept appearing a lot in my astral. And I turned to him because I was busy doing something. I had done something and I was trying to recall it, and it was something to do with David Icke, who I do keep in contact with. And we'd just been speaking over Skype, and then David was in my astral, and then I kind of forgot, and I kind of came conscious and forgot, and went back in, and there was Darren, who I'd interviewed on the show at this point, and I said, "Oh, what are you doing?" He kept showing up to me astrally, so I questioned him what he was doing, and he seemed fully conscious, even though he hasn't taken that consciousness back to his physical. He said, you know, you're interested in me, and I'm not sure why. So he has got that ability, but I think when he returns to the physical, he probably doesn't. He probably has no awareness
Oh,
because then,
okay. And now I'm
yeah,
starting to
because
get a more clear understanding of this.
yeah, and of course, if he's a super soldier, which I believe he is, that makes more sense because, you know, the super soldiers are really active astrally rather than physically. But, you know, we're getting to this point where because of the change and the ascension, they're kind of waking up and coming out of their program and doing things for themselves, which I was trying to wake him up. But, you know, it's uncomfortable. You don't want to be someone that approaches someone in that way and tells them about this because you feel firstly they're going to dismiss you as a crazy, and you know it's tiring, and you know I've got other things to be getting on with, but I sent him some videos of Casbolt, and that's as far as I went. But it interested me that seems to have happened to him in the care system here, in the prison system, that kind of, you know, we have the
Yeah.
elite doing this kind of mind control on us, and you know, we're all lining up to get, you know, we're not allowed to say it, I suppose, on Facebook. I got my Facebook deactivated and had to fight to get it, you know, I had to use contacts to get it put back up. So I don't want to say anything about, you know,
Yeah.
needles and vax and that kind of stuff. But you know, people sort of trust the elites. It's weird. They really trust them. You know, I had my best friend from school say she went and got the vax and whatever. And I just thought, you know, people are so trusting and they don't realize that the elites have long been treating us like peasants and livestock, where, you know, we don't get told anything. We're not
Oh,
aware
yeah.
that they are. Pardon?
I said, yeah, no, I'm agreeing with you. I mean, they're like the Gulf War
Exactly. And
veterans, you know, they shoot them
they're
up with all
so,
kinds of chemicals and stuff. And
yeah, they're so far advanced than we think they are. You know, they're so literally we're like animals in the way we think. They are much further advanced than us.
yeah, well, I wasn't actually aware of that. I mean, I knew that they have, you know, technology, obviously, that's way
Yeah.
beyond what we have. Now it was, but thank you so much for explaining that about like that astral deal with this guy, G, because there's been several people that were, that are kind of known, I guess, super soldiers or whatever. That, well, one of them is Anthony, not Anthony Zindick, but anyway, I'll think of it here in a second. That guy that he's actually in the army, but then also Kevin. Trimmel, you know, and then KJ Scoops, and then Dave Marrow, you know. These people have
Hmm.
expressed to me these out of the blue, these episodes that I've had with them fighting these battles that they have, you know, and I was just blown away because I don't have any memory of this. And so I'm wondering, how can this be, you know, that these people are telling me this, yet I don't remember it, and, you know, but apparently this stuff is going on in the astral, and apparently I'm like your new friend, this guy that I don't. If I am involved in anything, then I'm not aware of it in this, you know, waking state.
Well, you can help yourself with that by just keeping a notebook by your bed, and then as soon as you wake up, try and not move your body, but pick up the pen and write down your dreams. For example, I had a dream last night where I had a handbag, a shoulder bag, which was bright, shiny yellow, and it had my purse and cash card and information in it. And a friend stole it and brought it to a social worker at my kids' home, brought it to his house. And I said to her, I'm not going to go to the police. Just show me where it is in his house. And the whole of last night was spent by me trying to break in to this social worker, Doug Rob, he was called at our kids' home, break into his house, get back my glossy yellow handbag and get out. And it literally took me all night. I woke up and I was exhausted because I'd been trying to find ways to break into his house, trying to find ways to search through without being noticed. And that is actually an operation. And how you know it's an operation is because you wake up really tired and you've been doing stuff for other agencies. I mean, who knows who they are, but you've been working for other agencies. And while you see different figures, like I saw a friend, not much of a friend, but somebody that looked like a friend, and then an old social worker at my kids' home, because it's someone in a certain position of power that we, with our perception, see them as that person, but they're actually not. But me trying to break in constantly was an operation basically that I was involved in, but don't have awareness of basically.
So you think this handbag that you were looking for is maybe symbolic of something? I mean, you were obviously trying to do something in the operation, but I mean, it wasn't like a astral version of the handbag, was it? Or was it or was that how it was kind of disguised to you for what you were really
Yeah,
looking for?
yeah, it gets disguised. So it's put to me like sort of a carrot, like something that I would want. So say my handbag is, it's very important to me. I do constantly check it when I'm out. So what they do, they would know this, and then they put in front of you, this is your
Of
handbag, and it's in there in
course,
someone's house.
of
So then
course.
you basically hunt it down. I had a keynote once come to me in the Astro and go for my handbag, and I caught him going in my handbag and going for my cash card, the debit card that we use all the time. And he was going to put a curse on it. And that way I knew that he tried to do a poverty curse on me. So, that was quite interesting.
Oh
Did you hear
yeah.
about the gin encounter that I did a program about? I don't think you did, no?
Did I hear about what?
I had a sheikh come on my show, and he was a Muslim, Muslim, I think Sufi magician.
Oh, was
Um,
this when you
oh,
found out that that old preacher that was a friend of yours had actually put a spell on you?
well, yeah, he was quite. So I had this Muslim come on, Muslim sheikh, and he casts out the jinn out of people. And I'd seen him on YouTube, and he has conversations with these jinn, and the jinn tell them what our rulers, the Illuminati, are up to, basically. And because they are working with the jinn. Well, they're working with the Shaitan jinn to give them power. And so he, amongst others, and so he came on the show and he said to me that I'd had black magic put on me. And he said, I want you to ask God that in your dream tonight, ask God to show you who's done it and then do battle with them. And then you will wipe the black magic away, as well as doing other stuff over water and oil, which I've done. And so I actually, when I went to sleep, I forgot. And then I was dreaming and I went astral, and the sheikh appeared to me and he said, "You've forgotten to ask God who it was that did black magic on you. Do it now." So I did it. And then I saw this person walk towards me in the desert. I did battle with them and got rid of them, sent them away. The sheikh helped me do that. And then the sheikh said to me, "There's a portal there in front of you to the world of the jinn." So I walked through this portal, and it was in front of me was a bridge, and beside it was like a cyclops with one eye. And I said, "Can I enter?" And he said, "You can't enter in this form, but you can enter in another form." So he turned me into a spider, just a really tiny spider in the sand. And I just felt as if I was suffocating on the sand. So I said, "Can you change me to something else?" So he changed me to a really tiny bird, and I flew over. I think it's called the calf. So Brian Barrett was explaining to me this world of the jinn. It's like a world that's parallel to ours, and I saw the different parts of it, and the darkest part is the Shaitan jinn, which are the certain jinn that work around Lucifer or Iblis, as he's called, and they very much hate humanity. And these are the jinn that come into people when they do things like serial murder and stuff. But basically, I then had a jinn come to me and ask, did I want to work with him? So through the sheikh, I've got access to that world, which I didn't really have before. But, I've got a lot of information back from them about humanity here. And basically, humanity has done a deal with the Draco reptilians. You know the reptilians from the Orion Belt?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm familiar with the concept. Yeah.
Yeah, well, basically, they just had Earth as an outpost, and, just used it for this and that. And they did have a lot of control through the elite bloodlines that Fritz Springmeier talks about in his books. And, they were using mind control on the people. And, they were like more or less in control here through the bloodlines and, the families. But now they've decided to come here as a permanent base. And the whole of this COVID and vaccination program is them. It's their arrival. They've arrived here fully. And this is now, it's like a takeover basically, and this is their base now. So all this COVID and all the vaccination, that is just a warming up for what is going to happen here. It's going to be a massive change, and people think it's communism and all that, but no, it is the Draco Reptilian. It's just them taking over, and basically they're non-human. They're not connected with the jinn. They're non-human, and they don't really like to us. They want to get rid of a lot of us. So I'm not sure if the vax is to cull us or what's going to happen, but I suppose that'll unfold.
Well, do you think there's going to be a big, like a cataclysm? I mean, a big war or something between the humans?
I don't know. I mean, it's shown in a lot of movies. There's a good movie called Oblivion with Tom Cruise, and there's a good Netflix series called Colony, which shows that the same thing has happened here, and a lot of times basic little groups of humanity do try and fight back, but I mean,
no, I mean fight that they'll get us fighting against one another.
Oh, fighting against one another? Yeah, probably, because, a lot of us don't even realise what's going on. And some people do, but a lot of people, they don't really realise that, they're out protesting and they're doing this and they're talking about communists and left-wing and right-wing. It's nothing to do with that. They need to see the real enemy, and they need to, get more spiritual and get doing meditation and get talking to God and get guidance that way. This is a spiritual battle. It's not physical. It's not political. That's really, I don't know. It's like hamsters looking at the wrong part of the cage.
I agree.
And thinking,
but
silly.
Even in addition to that, even the ones of us who are aware of that, we're still here on the earth and physical. And if there's a war going on, it's going to be affecting us.
Yeah, very much. I mean, people like us that are away, your listeners and my listeners, we need to start meditating. And, there are people that have said that. I was listening to a woman the other day, really highly intelligent woman, lecturing about what was going on. She was talking a lot about economics and stuff, but she said, this is evil, and there's evil here, and stand near water, and let's all communicate through the water. And so I tried that, and I went up to a lake and put my hands up to it, and I just felt like darkness come out immediately. So I mean, they're listening to us as well, so all our little plans really get overheard. We're really in a bad position, and I think we're in a bad position because we've just ignored God. And people get on, they have their nice houses, they have their good jobs, and they have such amazing lives, and they never once turn to God and say thank you. They never once get on their knees.
That's right. They're not grateful at all. And no. Because they believe they've been given this in the university system this idea of scientific materialism. Where we're just meat puppets. Yeah. There is no God, et cetera, et cetera.
Exactly.
And
this is what's happened to us. Then we've got no supernatural protection. And so these other beings have thank you, we'll have you. You've got no God here, and
Yeah, you're so right, and so so we don't have any protection, so it leaves us completely vulnerable, not only in life but also in the afterlife. Because I've learned from Dr. Rudolf Steiner. I've done a couple shows on this, reading this book, the Age of the Electronic Doppelganger. He says that this whole idea of agnostic or atheist or whatever was promulgated by the secret societies, and that they absolutely do not believe that, but they wanted it to be taught in the universities. And here's the reason why. It is because in today's age, according to Steiner, the human being, becomes in death what they think they are in life, something like that. So anyway, in other words, if you think you're going to heaven, you really will go to heaven. If you think you're going to hell, you're going to go to hell. But if you're one of these people that doesn't believe in any of that stuff, when you die, your ghost will be more or less chained here to the earth, because the only frame of reference they have is the earth. And so you'll just be a ghost wandering around. And then that's when the secret societies send out teams to capture you and put you into the ghost slave trade. Can you believe that? And you're auctioned off to extraterrestrials and other secret societies and dark sorcerers doing nefarious rituals using these ghosts as batteries and power sources for their nefarious rituals.
That's awful. That reminds me of a something I saw the other day on the astral. Loads of men, and they were just plugged into something, and it was only the top half of their bodies, and the bottom half was like a sort of plug leading into something. It just made me want to vomit. It was really awful. It was really, I mean, we just have to get conscious, don't we? We have to get more and more conscious, and the only way you do that is through prayer and meditation. And people find it boring. Yeah, it is boring, but we're going to have to just get busy doing it.
Yeah, right. Yeah, we have to go within. We have to have introspection and stuff. But yet, our society we live in is so geared towards outward manifestations and outward sensations.
Yeah, of course. But I mean, there's groups. I mean, like take Miles is the basis. I mean, I thought that was great when I first found it, and then gradually I found myself not only being psychically attacked, but having like curses put on me and like masses and masses and masses of bad luck and stuff like that. And Max, when he was alive, God rest his soul, he experienced the same thing. So these bigger, popular groups and stuff, they're infiltrated, and people think, oh, I'll join them, and they get attacked, and so it's not always good. So if we meet in small little groups, or maybe make contact with each other, and do things like, I mean, people were coming to me and they would say, I'd like to meet you in the astral, or can you come out with us on a job in the astral? And they were pulling me out. I'm not that great at getting out by myself. I find myself out, but they were literally, meeting up with me at a certain time, and then we were doing things. So, I mean, you can practice doing that with friends. You can practice becoming more astrally conscious, like writing down your dreams and waking up, and realizing it's another form of consciousness.
Yes, yeah, and I've been getting a little bit of instruction from NISA, and I think you probably know who I'm talking about, but I really don't want to say her last name because I don't really have her permission to speak about her, but she's very helpful for me over there in the UK, and then also all the advice I get from you is it's actionable items, stuff that I can act on. Now, one thing that I have not brought you up to date on what's going on with me. Okay, I have been investigating this whole Tartarian deal, and we've talked about that and stuff, and I found it right over here in Texas. But there's something else that's come up, and this has been like over the last month, and it's just the most bizarre thing. It's unbelievable, really. But there was a lady in Austin, and we're really close in a way, but yet I haven't actually met her face to face yet. But she, we got to talking. Maybe she had seen my show or something, and she had one of her children taken away from her by the child's grandmother, and we got to talking about it. And it turned out there was corrupt court papers, and there was just some stuff that just wasn't right. And so, but she kept telling me she was related to all of this royalty. She was real into genealogy. And I was like, well, that's interesting. And finally, I came to the conclusion, okay, this person is a monarch asset of some type and doesn't realize it. And so I was, going to, let her know about that and everything. Well, she kept trying to get me into this genealogy. And I was just like, I don't have time for that. I've got so much stuff going on. And finally, I relented, and I let her open up an account for me, that we both had access to, with a site called FamilySearch.org, which is one of the free genealogy resources, but they're also one of the best because they are owned and operated by the Mormon Church. And the Mormon Church, they're very specific about records and stuff like this. Well, this is where the bizarre thing started. Okay, and we know, you know, that for years I've been in my books and stuff claiming what I do to be true, and that is that I'm on the bloodlines of the pharaonic dominators. Well, let me tell you, I had no idea. I mean, it's almost embarrassing to tell you these things because it's just so bizarre. Okay, it just turned out I'm related to a lot of politicians and a lot of royalty. Okay, I'm related to Princess Di. I'm a direct descendant of Robert the Bruce. And here's the thing: I can show you documentation on all that stuff. That's what makes this all very surrealistic. But let me just take just a moment because this is just probably going to blow you away. You know what? I'm related to Abraham Lincoln. I'm like his second cousin 6 times removed. Okay. Well, I didn't realize until the other day you can be related to these people in more than one way. So let me just go through this sheet right here. I am in, and I can. And it says the common ancestor. These aren't the charts. These are truncated, versions of the charts. But you're not going to believe this. Okay, this will just take a minute. Okay, I am related to Abraham Lincoln. Abraham Lincoln 22 times. We have 22. Okay. I am related to William Brewster 2 times. William Brewster is somebody who was on the Mayflower. I'd never heard of him before. But okay, let me get I have all these sheets here. Okay, I am related. I'm related 73 times to Janis Joplin. I'm related 2 times to Bonnie Parker. That's Bonnie and Clyde. I'm related 31 times to Harry Truman, the president. I'm related to every president. Okay, let me just tell you that right now. I'm related 15 times to Gus Grissom, the astronaut. I'm related. Oh no, that said 15th cousin. Oh, this is how I'm related. This is weird. I'm related 76 times to Gus Grissom. Okay, I mean, these numbers I just can't even get over it. Okay, I am related 62 times to Johnny Cash. Okay, and I've only got
singer.
I've only got a few more to go here. I'm related 1 time to William Bradford, who I didn't know who he was, but he was somebody who was on the Mayflower. Related 1 time to Oliver Cromwell. Related 15 times to George Washington. Related 1 time to Margaret Tudor. Related 1 time to Mary Stuart. Related 23 times to Lyndon Johnson, President Lyndon Johnson. Related 35 times to Samuel Langhorne Clemens, who's Mark Twain. Related 64 times to Gerald Ford. Okay, and then related 6 times to Thomas Jefferson. Okay, and that's not including. I'm also related to Prince, Jim Morrison. I mean, it's just crazy. And I'm on the bloodlines of the Merovingian kings.
That's interesting. So that's no wonder you're fascinating.
Yeah, and I didn't know any of this. And so after I started learning it, I told that lady, I was like, oh, I get it. Everybody's related to all these royalty and all these famous people and everything. And she's like, no, not at all. She said, this is very highly unusual. And, she has related to royalty out the wazoo, but it's just crazy, Christine. I'm like, what in the hell is going on? Okay, now here's the kicker. I'm going to tell you this. This lady, she has so much interbreeding within her family. All these people are all related, and then we know that the elite do that. Okay, Then we found that out about me. See, she told me her parents were related to one another many times. Okay, I just found out, Christine, the other day, my mom and my dad were related to one another in over 200 different ways.
Wow, that's interesting.
This is, I mean, so after, stepping aside from it and stepping back and looking at this thing objectively, and, there's only 2 possibilities. One is that somehow all these facts are wrong, which that's not it. It would take some massive deal to, feed me all this false information. You can sit there and look at the trees, and I know my relatives and stuff, this shit's all real. And so that only leaves one conclusion, that I am a product of a selective breeding program that's been going on at least 200 or 300 years, at least. And I mean,
because you were involved in a lot of magic down in Mexico, weren't you?
well, yeah, I'm in the OTO, but I have not been to the lodge in almost 4 years now, for certain reasons I really don't want to go into. But I did get a sense when at the lodge, I was wondering, so many of these people are in here because they were just like me. They were 15-year-old kids that had a closet full of Aleister Crowley books that they didn't understand, but they had them anyway. And I was thinking about that and how bizarre that was, because the OTO doesn't really promote themselves or advertise. And the conclusion, and this is just an idea. This is not a conclusion I came to, but it was just a possible idea. I began to think, what if some of these people in here, or even possibly me myself, are actually reincarnated Templars? That we really are Templars, because these secret societies, they claim to be Templars and stuff.
I'm sure, yeah, the different people in the different groups are coming round and round and
well,
round
I don't know. I
again,
didn't think of that. I need to start searching some Templars, like Hugh de Payne or De Molay. See,
but I think you should start practicing magic, more, because we need to do that. We need to, because we might have been used.
You're absolutely right. Okay, and so I have.
And you've been used for someone else's agenda.
Absolutely,
so
we need to do our own agenda.
Magic for you.
You were so right, and it's been long overdue. And so I have another announcement to make to you. And this has been going on for, I guess, at least 3 months. But I've joined Tim's gang.
Tim's gang?
Tim, yeah, I'm in the fold now. I'm with them.
Oh, that guy.
You know who I'm talking about, right?
He seems
Tim
nice. He seems so. Oh, my studio is ringing me. That's weird. Revolution Radio. I've got my show tonight, and the studio.
Oh yeah, that's an important call. You better take it.
Answer. Pardon?
Yeah, that sounds like an important call. I'll stand by.
Okay. Okay. 1 sec.
Or do we need to cut it? Okay. All right, we're on hold right now, and Christine is talking to the people at Revolution Radio. Sounds like she's got a show tonight, and so she is taking that call, and we are hopefully going to find out some interesting news about that show tonight. So, kind of a little recap here. Christine has been telling me about the quote-unquote new James Casbolt, and I'm not sure where that's going, but obviously hoping that she's going to at least try to put me in touch with this guy. And so I will, of course, be trying to pick his brain, or trying to get him on the show. Another thing is, to recap, I have found out some information about James Casbolt. Hello?
Ian, are you still there?
Yeah, I'm still here.
Okay. I have to go because I've got to get the studio ready, because last week it was a bit of a I'm not techie, so gosh. Well, it was really nice to catch up with you.
I know it. No, thank you so much for speaking with me. And so who's do you have on your show tonight?
Oh, we're going to talk about mental health in the lockdown. So we've got a couple of mental health specialists. We're going to talk about, what to do. Locked in. Are you locked in over there in Texas?
Are we locked in? Not really. Not like y'all are. No, we're not at all, as a matter of fact.
Oh, I see. Are you guys? Because we've been forced to take. Well, more or less forced. They're going to have.